Good evening, my dears. Saturday Facebook Live with Ilana Y. And we continue to read the book 12 Pillars by Rohn and Widener. How is everyone doing? I know we're getting used to the quarantine. It's a new normal, sort of speak. At work, I have a lot of web access. We have video conferences. And then for my other job, that is Optavia coaching, we also have been using Zoom. So in terms of work and being productive, I guess working from home can be productive, and especially if each member of the family is now used to the structure. We have separate rooms, luckily, and separate technology. So each one of us has a computer or an iPad, and we're getting used to new normal. And living in the stress is impractical, right? So I guess everyone adjusts the best way possible. We play games, we still do exercises, and we try to connect with the loved ones every day via phones. Amazingly, somebody lost power in the neighborhood, and I think that would have been a bummer. But luckily, the power is still on, so we get to have a Facebook Live. Thanks for joining me, and today we're talking about all of life is sales. Do you agree? Well, let's see what Rohn has to say about it. The first thing to realize is that everything is sales. And to better understand it, to give a broader application of this principle, it is better to understand sales as the concept of influence. Influence? Yes, you see, influence is the key to a successful life. Anyone who wants to succeed must learn the art and skill of influencing others. When they do that, they will be successful. How's that? You see, all of life is lived with other people, not in a vacuum. When you need to succeed, it is usually dependent upon working with or through other people. That is why you must influence. It is true nearly from the time we are born. I don't know, what do you mean? Think about it. From the time we are born, successfully reaching our goals is dependent upon influencing others. And as we grow, we hone those skills. A baby must influence his or her parents to feed him. A child influences his or her parents for a bike. A teenager has to influence the person they fancy so they can get a date. The person who graduates college must influence their potential boss to give them a job. Salespeople must influence prospective buyers if they want to eat well. You see, all of life is sales, and all of sales is influence. That makes sense, but how do you influence? Well, there is a plaque in Mr. Davis's office that quotes Thomas Jefferson. It says, "There is a natural aristocracy among men, the grounds of which is talent and virtue." Okay, I don't get it. This is fascinating, Michael. If you think about the founders of America, they had come from a place where there was an aristocracy based on the monarchy. Aristocracy was passed from generation to generation. You become wealthy and had influence based solely on what your family you were born into. Jefferson was speaking of the beauty of America, namely that anyone can achieve a natural aristocracy, the maximum levels of success if you master the ground of achieving it, talent and virtue. So what does this have anything to do with sales and influence? Well, Michael, if you want to sell more and make more money, you have to become a better influencer. And the key to influencing others is to have others perceive you as a person of talent and virtue. Mr. Davis says frequently that talent and virtue are the same as character and skill. Be a person of strong character and increasing skill, and you will always be growing in your influence. And do you know the best way to have people perceive you as a person of talent and virtue? Well, being a person of talent and virtue. Talent and virtue are the foundation of successful influence and sales. Whether you are selling a product or selling yourself, and a successful person is always selling him or herself. Once you have mastered those, the skills of sales are pretty simple. So what are the skills of sales? Know your stuff. Talk to lots of people. Be persistent and never take no for an answer. Can you explain a bit more? Sure. First of all, know your stuff. Mr. Davis says, you cannot speak that which you do not know. You cannot share that which you do not feel. You cannot translate that which you do not have. And you cannot give that which you do not possess. To give it and share it and for it to be effective, you first need to have it. If you're going to sell a product, you have to know it, believe in it, and feel it. And the same is true if you're selling yourself. So I see, for example, Gabe is here, and I know you're very passionate about selling Rolex watches. I watch your Facebook and Instagram, and I think passion sells it. Because if you're passionate about your product, if you know that it brings value, it's, for example, in Rolex cases, I guess it's an investment. You can, and if you truly believe that, you are a much more successful salesperson. I, for example, I have my full-time job where I'm influencing on projects, right? Where I have to discuss, okay, what's the best or fastest, the most efficient and least risky way to get to the goal. So I have to, for example, talk to different stakeholders, talk with them in the meeting, talk before the meeting to make sure that when we discuss risks and when we discuss the optimal way to get to the goal of the project, that I am a good influencer. And all the aspects of my job are kind of covered in making sure that I get the message across using my influencing skills. As a matter of fact, my side passion, which is you're probably all aware, I help people to lose weight. I lost weight myself. And I'm very passionate about the Optavia program that helps people to lose weight because I see the results. I saw the blood test. I see that people get off, very often get off from blood pressure medication, from diabetes medication. And I feel like when I help people to lose weight, I help them to discover who they are. I help to save their lives. I help to improve the quality of their lives. Like I'm truly passionate, and you can probably see that from my feeds on Facebook. But and the other important thing is continue to improve your skills. And how do you improve your skills? By practicing your trade, right? By learning from people who have done it before and who are really good at it. And that's where mentorship team comes in. We have that in my Optavia business. We have that at work where there is always somebody who you can learn from, who has better skills at that. And by the way, thank you guys for joining me. I feel like it may be interesting. So as for talking to lots of people and succeeding in sales, simply talk to lots of people every day. And here's what's exciting. There are lots of people. Just talk to lots of people. Obviously, they have to be qualified people. You can't just go willy-nilly. But Mr. Davis always talks about the law of large numbers, which means that a certain percentage will work with you or buy from you. If 10% do, then you'll sell more. If you call 40 people a day, then if you call 10 people a day. That makes sense. What was the last one again? Never take no for an answer. That's right. Michael, salespeople should take lessons from their kids. What does the word no mean to a child? Almost nothing. I know that better than anyone. When they want something, they ask and ask and ask. The idea is that most people just aren't persistent enough to succeed in sales, or life for that matter. Yeah, I guess you're right. Charlie started to get up for some coffee. As he got up, he stumbled and landed on one knee. Michael jumped up to help. Are you okay, Charlie? He helped him get back up. Yes, I'm okay, just getting weak as I get older. Michael sat back down as Charlie poured more coffee. Want some more? He asked, holding the coffee pot up. No, I'm okay. As he walked back over to the chair, Charlie continued. Yes, Michael, age gets even the best of us. I'm not much longer for this life. Don't say that, Charlie. You are in good health. I have my days. Regardless, eventually age gets us all, if not disease before. Time is shorter than any of us would imagine. If more people would wake up to the fact, more people would live differently. Yeah, I imagine you're right. Life has passed me by so far. The day-to-day just lulls you to sleep if you aren't careful, and I haven't been. But you are changing. That I am. Thanks to you. And by the way, the next pillar is income seldom exceeds personal development. So on sales, for a lot of people, sales is a touchy subject. I was always taken aback when people would say, oh, she's a good salesperson, he's a bad salesperson. We all don't want, most of us probably don't want to be thought of salespeople because it has a bit of a negative stigma to it. But at the end of the day, we all are salespeople. We are influencers. The fantastic book, the ending was a little interesting here, but the fantastic book is Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And I actually do love a lot of quotes by Og Mandino. He teaches us how to be better people, how to speak to people in such a way that you're compassionate, you're understanding, you are thoughtful. Sales is greatest salespeople are never about sales, they're about relationships. And I would want to ask you a question. What do you think is better, getting $1 million as a present, like a lottery winning, or earning $1 million? In my perspective, earning is much better, even if it takes 20 years, or just because once you earn your $1 million, you can do it again. You have the skills, you have the confidence that you have done it. And it's important to surround yourself by very smart people who help you out with the early decisions. I'll tell you, when I finished college in 1999, I joined, I was an accountant back then, $30,000 a year I was making. And the money was tight. My husband was working as a resident. They are not making much money. We had little kids. It was pretty tight. We couldn't afford a lot of things. But early on, I was investing in 401k. I was investing in, I bought myself a life insurance. Even when the money was tight. So now, when looking back at that decision 20 years later, that was a fantastic decision because the money we're accumulating, there is a lot more safety nest. Another fantastic decision I think I've made is when I started pursuing a side business, because wages will never outgrow profits. When you're your own boss, even if it's a part-time job, right? The full-time job could provide you security, provide you skills, provide you insurance, provide you a lot of good things, especially if you enjoy what you're doing and you work with fantastic people. That's a fantastic thing. But having a side business where you can make profits, that is phenomenal, because that gives you, first of all, you becoming your own boss. It gives you a liberating feeling that you don't have to you're not just depending on the job that somebody gives you, and you actually helping somebody else's dream come true, which is okay if they treat you well. And then, having a side job or pursuing your passion as a business owner, that's really where you make money, and lots of it. And this is also indicated again in 12 pillars in chapter 9. So he says here, income seldom exceeds personal development. What you become directly influences what you get. So on the surface, for the vast majority of the wealthy, money isn't the number one thing in their lives. They have had more money and realize that life still goes on, just as it did before. They may live in nicer homes or drive fancier cars, but life happens to everyone. Money doesn't solve problem of life. Well, I'd sure like to give it a try. Charlie laughed. Michael, no doubt you'll have the opportunity. You're learning a lot, and that will change your life. I hope so. I have always wanted to be a millionaire. Really? Why? For starters, security. Money provides no security, Michael. If you're hoping for security in your wealth, you will have a long wait. Why is that? Money can always go away. You can lose it. You can get sued. Inflation can eat away at it. It can be stolen. Every year you hear of what were once millionaires and even multimillionaires having to file for bankruptcy, going from hundreds of millions of dollars to nothing in 1 year. Imagine that. Just as he was saying the last few words, Charlie began to cough. And he excused himself. He came back. Well, so why else would you want money, Michael? Well, I guess for all the nice things it can buy me and my family. Yes, when I look at 12 pillars, I see a beautiful house and the cars in the garage are nice. But here's what Mr. Davis says. He says, after you become a millionaire, you can give it all away because what's important is not the $1 million. What's important is the person you have to become in the process of becoming a millionaire. Give it all away? He didn't give it all away. No, you don't have to give it away. You can give it all away because you have become a person who could get it back. Making the $1 million took personal growth to get you there. Now you could do it again if need be. That is another thing Mr. Davis teaches people. He says, income seldom exceeds personal development. If you want to make $1 million, you had better grow personally to the point where you are a $1 million person. You have to love what you become, not love money. You know what the old proverb says. Whoever loves money never has money enough. Michael looked up at the ceiling and leaned back in his chair. I just wish I knew how to make more money. Okay, I can tell you one of the greatest secrets to wealth building the world has ever known. Virtually every wealthy person who has ever lived, save for a few, has proven this principle true. What is it? Profits are better than wages. What is that supposed to mean? Michael, it's simple. Do you want to make $1 million in 1 year? That would be great. If you sold 10 times what you do now, would you make $1 million in 1 year? And Michael was a salesperson. Not even close. What about the owner of your company? If all of his salespeople sold 3 times what they do now, do you think he would make $1 million in 1 year? I think he makes $1 million a year now, so I would imagine the answer is yes. But what does that have to do with it? You're on the wage system, Michael. The owner of your company is on a profit system. And as you yourself have described, profits are better than wages. So how do I get profits rather than wages? You must work for yourself. As long as you work for someone else, you won't make that much money. Sure, there are the professional athletes in the upper echelon of corporate America, but there are so few of those that is statistically insignificant. 99% of the wealthy became wealthy by working for themselves and capturing the profits. Even those who inherited their wealth, if you trace it back, it almost always ends up beginning with someone who owned the company. At my age, I don't know if I could go out and start over. And Michael's about 40 years old. Well, you don't have to give up so fast, Michael countered. I'm not giving up. I'm just agreeing with you, what you say. If you won't go start over, then you're stuck. There is an alternative to just quitting and starting all over. What's that? It is another of Mr. Davis's principles of money and wealth. Work full-time on your job and part-time on your fortune. And I guess that's what I'm doing now. Maybe you should start a business on the side and grow it until it is at a point where you could do it full-time. Well, that may be a viable idea. I have had a few ideas and I have wanted to do from time to time, and yet I have never done them. What with the family and all, it would just be too hard. Anything of significance is going to be hard. You may as well accept that. Remember, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Your choice. Do you want to work hard, start your own business, grow it into great enterprise, then achieve financial independence? Or do you want to stay where you are and hope that government has enough money to dole a little bit to you each month? I would like to have financial independence, whatever that means. Financial independence is the ability to live from the income of your own personal resources. That is it in its basic form. You either pay yourself or you get paid by someone else, now and in the future. They sat for a few moments, letting the lessons of Mr. Davis's wisdom sink in. And they were becoming friends. The next chapter we're going to cover next Saturday. I'm trying to come in live every Saturday at 10:30. I am grateful to you for joining me. I'm wishing you lots of health, love, success. Hopefully this pandemic is very temporary and we all will be back on our feet, realizing our full potential. So best of luck to you, and thank you for joining me. See you next week at 10:30. We're gonna talk about communication. All communication brings the common ground of understanding. Bye.